Hi, everyone, and welcome to Side Quest 26 of High Scores, High Stakes, the podcast that usually does challenges, but tonight we're going to be talking about our challenges. I'm your host, as always, Mr. Luvva Luvva, and with me is my co host.
Evening, Luvva, Tomahawk here. Good to be back. Just I like these like side quests now. We just get to chill and talk a little bit of nonsense, really.
Yes, yes. Um, yeah, there'll probably be plenty of that tonight. So, but before we get into what we're talking about, the topic of the night, let's do our weekly housekeeping. Tomahawk, what is high scores, high stakes? For example, I
Yes.
can hear the people shout it into their phones right now. High scores, high stakes, whilst it's in season, is three friends competing against one another in PlayStation gaming challenges. Every week we pick a new game. Every week we play a challenge in that game, and we are competing with one another in a league table. The winner of the challenge gets 3 points, second place gets 2 points, third place gets 1 point. But we are not in our competitive season right now, Tomahawk. We are in our off seasons, which means we are in side quest season. And side quests are where we discuss everything PlayStation, everything gaming. Every week is like a brand new podcast being pumped directly into our listeners' mobile devices. If you have been listening to this for a while and you don't yet follow or subscribe to the podcast, depending on what platform you listen to, please feel free to do that now. If you've done that and you haven't left us a review, that would be very, very, very much appreciated. Just give the podcast whatever star value you think it's worth. And if you want to feel particularly generous tonight, then even a typed review would work wonders for our visibility. If you've done all of that and you still haven't told a friend or family member about the podcast who you think will like it, first question is, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life, sir or madam? Second is, feel free to do that. The more eyes, the more ears we get in the podcast, the better it is for everyone. It allows us to get bigger and allows us to produce more and more content for your ears and eyes. If you've done all the above and you're sick to death of hearing me say for you to do it every single week and you haven't yet visited highscoreshighstakes.com, then make sure you do that there because we're there on that website. What you'll find on top of the page is lots and lots of links to everywhere you can find us on the internet. That's Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. It's the whole heap. There's even a wee option for you to send us in wee emails should you want to get them read out in an episode. So high scores, highstakes.com is where you can find us where we live everywhere else on this vast and glorious internet. And with all of the housekeeping out of the
Fabulous.
way, Tomahawk, I feel like the time has come. I've been wondering this all day. In fact, I've been wondering it all week since our last record. I was thinking to myself today, gosh darn it, I wonder what Tomahawk's doing right now. And more to the point, I'm wondering, what are you playing?
So I did allude to this just pre-record and was like, I don't want to tell him because he'll shout at me and tell me to pick a better game. But I'm in this weird crossroads at the minute where I'm thinking about what I want to stream next. The sort of
Hmm.
big adventure for that. I'm also not in the mood to really be playing anything. So I've been picking up a game and I've kind of weirdly been really enjoying it. It's a game that we reviewed on our Name That Game segment.
Okay.
It is Cricket 24.
Of course it is. Of course it is. You make me sick playing cricket. No one watches cricket. No one enjoys cricket. No one likes cricket. It's a terrible, dreadful game, and you should feel shame
Do you know what?
because you've brought it to you
It's
and your
oh,
family.
I know, I know it's terrible, but it's one of those ones that you know yourself. You don't want to invest the time to play like 2 or 3 hours of something that's going to have massive layers of narrative and subplots and side quests and stuff like that. So I put it on because it was on PlayStation Plus, and I went, surely Cardinal's review that he read for us isn't that bad. It's passable as a sports game. Um, the the batting side is pretty much just a point and press a button, and you'll just hoof it. The ball in the field, and I haven't a clue.
You know,
It's very mid game, we'll say.
there's a lot of times I forget that you were actually born in England, and then you come on the podcast and say, "I'm playing cricket, everybody. Tell you how." What?
This shouldn't surprise anyone, but there we are. Nothing exciting this week. It's been a bit of a. I probably should delete it so I'm not tempted to just play it for an hour, but
Hmm.
it's one of those ones you don't. It's mindless. You don't actually have to put any effort into it, and it looks pretty good. It plays pretty fine. But I do. I'm dying to sort of get back into Twitch and get a new game on there. But TBC on that one.
So, is it fair to say that was like a mini review of cricket there? Is it fair to say that you don't like cricket? Oh no, you're ambivalent to it?
No, no, no. The cricket as a sport, yes, love it. We'll could watch that all the time. The game, meh, meh,
Right. Now that
meh.
that's done, I just feel like I have to wake up the members of the list, the audience who have fallen asleep. They've heard the word cricket and went, "What is this madness?" I have no interest at all in cricket. It's over now. It's over now. You can wake up. Wakey, wakey. Come on. Open your eyes. There we go. Welcome
Love
back.
his docile tones.
Welcome back. Let's talk about real games now, shall we? I have been playing absolutely nothing. Nothing. That's technically not true. Every now and again, it's been really, really busy at work over the past week or two, and I haven't really had time to turn on the PlayStation. My Steam Deck is charged, but it sits at the bottom of my bag. And the only game I've been playing, I don't even know if it counts as a game, is Pokemon, the TGC online on the phone. It's all right.
Yeah, I count that. To be fair, if we're gonna sort of break it down, then I've been playing Pokemon Red as an emulator on my phone, so there we
Sounds
are.
illegal. Nintendo's lawyers. Get him. Get him. That's Tomahawk
Got him,
underscore
got him.
HSHS. We got him, lads. I've actually, for the last 65 episodes, been an undercover agent for Nintendo, hoping for a slip up. I knew you were playing emulators on your phone, and I knew you were playing Pokemon games on it. But they're going to get you. Big Daddy Nintendo is going to kick your door in, take your phone, smash it in front of your eyes.
Good.
But yes, the Pokemon TGC. I'm not going to lie, I downloaded this the other day because out of the blue, Little Luvva has decided he likes Pokemon now and wants to learn the TGC. I haven't a clue how to play the TGC, so I thought, what better way of learning than to download the online game where members of the public can teach me how to play it the hard way by absolutely smashing me into the ground while I learn what I'm doing. Haven't a clue. Haven't a clue. But we do have the card game. And I'll learn it in the safe environment of my own home. But yeah, no, the TGC online game's actually it's fine. It's no Hearthstone. It's not like Hearthstone has all these wee animations and sounds and stuff. It's there's none of that in it. It's just this is the trading card game digitally. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a good game to play one handed when you're holding a little tiny baby, which
It
is
hasn't.
ironically
I
how I
can't
get
say
into Hearthstone.
this isn't the best game in I don't want to say game in journalism now, but this isn't a win in terms of high scores, high stakes. What are you playing?
You see, I would say that like the first half of this segment was awful when you were talking about the cricket game, but I feel like I've really saved it by talking about uh, n- less than obscure well phone games. So the audience is, I can hear them. They are clapping me for saving high scores, high stakes.
So,
They're like, You do this every week, Liva. Well done." I mean, it's you have the weight of the podcast on your shoulders, and they are broad, broad shoulders, and they can carry the weight of many a man and many a cricket game. One.
this is very
Never,
true.
let's never talk about cricket again in
One,
this
the one.
podcast.
Oh, no, this. I mean, next week might be a little bit better. I did, as I was saying to you, I did upgrade or change my broadband package as well. So
Mhm.
they threw in 12 months of Ultimate Game Pass. So I might have a little bit more to talk about next week.
That might be that console we are forbidden to talk about on this podcast, being a PlayStation podcast.
It's side quest and no rules apply. So I think you'll find I can say what and do what I want now.
Right. Let's get into the main meat of this episode. The potatoes are done. Let's get into the meat of things here. What are we talking about tonight? What we are talking about tonight is we are going to delve into high scores, high stakes history past. I think that we have done over 50, yes, 55 challenge episodes, half a century plus change. And I think the time has come that we decide what are our favorites challenges that we have done, not games. The games are irrelevant for this. What are our favorite challenges that we have done for high scores, high stakes this far? So we're going to have, I think we have three each. I have three anyway. I know Cardinal
At least
and
got three.
even Mr. John Sherry has contributed to the podcast for the first time in what seems months. It seems like ages since we've heard Sherry's voice, and you won't hear Sherry's voice today, but I did do a pretty killer impression of him. But let's get into that section now, where we're going to be talking about our favorite gaming challenges that we have done in high scores, high stakes thus far. Let's get there now. So here we are. We're going to talk about our favorite challenges that we have done this far in high scores, high stakes history. As I said, Sherry. Sherry, do you remember him? Do you remember Sherry? I vaguely remember his
No.
face and his voice, but it's fading every day. It's like he was never here. But Sherry has answered the call on the group chat, and when we asked, "What are your favorite challenges?" He did exactly what was asked of him. He gave us the games of his challenges. So his three favorite challenges were, we'll start in ascending order. So his third favorite challenge was Trials, which was, it's one that popped into my head as well, I'm not gonna lie, just because it is one of the funniest challenge misunderstandings I think I've ever seen, where
Oh yeah, yeah, no, absolutely.
Cardinal comes last, leaves, despite being told 3 or 4 times beforehand that that was no
It's not
longer
a
the
knockout
challenge.
situation. Yeah.
So so Sherry didn't give us a reason, but I'm presuming it's because of that, because it's the one game that stuck out in my head. His second favorite is Rocket League, which is a
Which I'm
surprising
really
one.
surprised by. Yeah,
Yeah,
massive
because
surprise. Better than he nearly reading through a big wobbly.
he didn't nearly throw a big wobbly. He threw a massive wobbly, and then at the end of the game, rage quit. Like I can't believe Rocket League is second in his list. I thought that would have been a game he would have wanted to forget about forever, but here we are. And then his number one gaming challenge then was, of course, it was the one he absolutely dominated us all for 20 minutes straight. It is Call of Duty, which was our free for all in shipment. Is that what that level's called?
Yes, it was the shipment level. It was the gun game. We did a best of three
Hmm.
challenge on gun game, and he did. He just dominated, and I think he early doors took great pleasure in sort of schooling us in the FPS genre.
Yeah, yeah, he did. He really showed us what the crack was with Call of Duty, and it wasn't good. I think it was also the first challenge I came last in as well. A wee bit of high scores, high stakes lore there for you. Episode 3, I believe. Episode 3. But yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
absolutely, it was.
yeah. So yep, that's Sherry's list. A couple of surprises in there. The Call of Duty did not surprise me at all. I thought that would have been his memory, one of his very few challenge wins, possibly his only true challenge win.
He's outside of a team challenge, definitely. So I think it was
Mm,
his one if not second
yeah,
individual victory, but sure, it is.
but fair play to him.
It's locked away in the history books now.
It's a heck of a list, and the good news is not one of those games makes it onto my list, so that makes this a very, very episode already. But let's hear what Cardinal's favorite was. Now, Cardinal did give us a little brief reason of why he's picked these games, so let's hear that one, Tom. What are Cardinal's three favorite challenges we have done?
So I think we're gonna go top down on this one. So I think his first one, he went with Rocket League. I think he has always had a soft spot for the team
Hmm.
challenges. I think in all of the seasons of competition, I think he did sort of say he's reflected on the fun he had as opposed to just the challenges he was really good at.
Yep, it's a good way of looking at it.
Rocket League was fun, and he also was really good at it.
Yes, he was. Yes. That
But no, I did it. Like, there's a lot to be said. Me and Sherry got absolutely spanked on that one, but I will say it was still a great game to play.
Oh
It
yeah,
really
yeah,
was.
yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, Cardinal, yeah, was awesome. um, but it was really good fun to play. It was really good fun listening to Sherry absolutely melt down in the background as well. just
Yeah.
because I think he was cross playing it with us, wasn't he? He was playing on his laptop, so he was cross playing
Yeah.
it with us. Yeah, just listening to his wee meltdowns was just incredible view, and I wish. But Rocket League is one of the very few games I wish we would upload the raw footage of our gameplay when it comes to that sort of thing because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is. But if we put up that gameplay, we would have been cancelled a long
We'd be
time ago.
cancelled.
Like
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So Rocket League is Cardinal's third favorite. Interesting.
His second favorite then was I can't remember the actual title of this. Is it just PGA Tour 2K23
That's what
or
it's
was it Tiger
called.
Woods or
No, no, no. It's just a
yeah.
2K23 PGA Tour. That's what it's called.
So that was his second choice actually. Again, really again another surprising one considering I know how many problems he had in the sort of submission of this and the
Hmm.
actual like figuring out the course. But I think again that was part and parcel of his reason why. I think it was I, I think it's more so the gate coming out of his comfort zone to have
Hmm.
to play a game that. Well, to be fair, that's all of us as well. We never would really be picking up a golf game anyway. But he liked how chilled it was as a challenge, but how frustrating it was to just have to do round and round and round and round on repeat, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny enough. I wrote a review for that on the highscoreshighstakes.com. And it brought back some memories. I was like, oh, come on, what? I was like, what did you call that commentator in that game? And I listened to some of that episode again just to get the finer details. Yeah, what a challenge that was. That was great fun. It was great. And looking back at it, there was a lot of times where there was sheer frustration of screaming at your controller when you
Oh
shank a
God, yeah.
shot straight into like the rough or whatever. But no, it was a good game. I enjoyed that challenge a lot.
Yeah, no, it's weird as well because we're saying about everything is sort of being rinse and repeat on that, but because I don't know about yourself, but I personally I found with the weather conditions constantly being so changeable and varied as well,
Hmm.
no two rounds, no matter how like same you played it, that those two rounds would be completely different and score would reflect massively on that one.
Also realistic as all heck because the Northern Irish weather is changeable as all heck.
Yes.
So bonus points for 2K and getting in the realism there. Even though they didn't make the course, it was fan made. That was a fan made course. I forgot
That's
about
right.
that. Yeah, so the actual
It was a listed course a few years ago, and
in the EA game,
they've obviously yeah, that
in
would have
the
been it
EA
then.
game, because EA has the rights to the Masters and the major tours. So a couple of years ago, it would have been on the majors because, of course, then the Royal County Down host the Masters 2018 or something.
It did, yes.
So it would have been there that year, but that was the EA game. I don't know what that one's called. It's probably EA Golf 2K something. To be honest, like let's be honest. um, um,
It's hard to know.
yes, but we've already
His
bored.
top,
Oh, good,
yeah,
good. Go
we're gonna go straight into it
straight
then.
into
Yes.
it.
So his top challenge actually was GTA 5,
Okay.
and I, his I like this list actually because again he's gone for games that have gone for ambition and
Hmm.
not something that he could have easily have just gone with Wreckfest, uh, Wipeout, and something else there as well. Picks the cat, who knows, God. Um, but no, I think the sheer ambitiousness, that's his words exactly, of the three challenges for
Hmm.
GTA 5. Yeah, no, it makes sense to be fair. But yeah, GTA 5 was his top pick and one of his favorite challenges in out of 55 episodes. That's not bad going, I think.
No, not at all. I mean, I really liked the GTA one. GTA challenge was so big and so like ambitious. It might not look like it from the episode because the episode follows the same format, but the sheer amount of testing that was done in the background, the sheer amount of manipulation of the systems in order to get us all in the same game to do the same thing. It was just one mega undertaking for us all. Um,
Yeah,
and it's if I think we said it in the record, if every single one of our challenges was the size and scope of GTA, that there wouldn't be a podcast. You couldn't. It took us 2 weeks to do that challenge. 2 weeks. and it doesn't.
Oh yeah, it would have been
It
completely unsustainable as a model. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there would be no high scores, high stakes. So we don't often do challenges. We've never done a challenge that big before. Maybe some would argue Fortnite, but we've never done anything to that scale and scope before. And we will do it again, but it won't be very frequent. I think is the best part to say.
Yeah,
It
no, a
is
big
as
landmark. I think it's either going to be a finale thing or another landmark episode. I
Yeah,
mean, what have we got? 75 and 100 potentially, on the horizons as well. So
it's mad,
who
isn't it?
knows?
It's
It
mad.
depends on how the schedules fall. Is really the way it's
Yeah,
going to be.
yeah, yeah. So let's get into our list then. So we'll just back and forth this the way we do every week, Tomahawk, when it's just me and you, mate, carrying this podcast week by week.
Efficiency.
I'm giving you my challenges in no particular order because I couldn't pick an order for these at all. I'm gonna go with my first one, and it's probably the one that will surprise nobody. But the reason isn't what people think it is. My One of my favorite challenges we have done is Resident Evil, the Resident Evil
Of course.
scavenger hunt. Um, One because it's one of my favorite games of all time, and two is it was like experiencing Resident Evil for the first time because it was a style of play that I have never ever undertook before
Oh
in
yeah.
Resident Evil. It was just like a whole new way of playing. It was like being 13 again and playing the original Resident Evil. It was like it was that like fresh. It was just like this great challenge. I loved the Resident Evil challenge. It was just like here's a game that I'm sure when that appeared in people's timelines, they're like, how can you do a challenge with Resident Evil? This is going to be the most
Yeah.
boring thing I have ever watched. And I think that the final product is great. Like that challenge was so much
No, I
fun,
did.
and
I really, really enjoyed it, to be fair. Like, it's just one of those terrible, like, stroke of misfortunes of sort of where my schedule in life was at that
hmm
time. So I think I had one attempt at it.
hmm
And I think with a couple more runs at it, I would have had a bit more of a fighting chance on it. Like, I still probably would have been miles behind on yourself, really. But
hmm
I loved the idea of it. I loved this. Like, I think it had evolved from like a bingo card for each of us to just
yeah,
go, no, that's a bit complicated. Let's just go and who can advance the story with as many key items and bullets remain. The bullets remaining thing I thought was a stroke of genius as well,
yeah,
because it's not until you're playing it back and watching it and you're going, oh, I've missed that. Oh no, how did I not see that? And but that's I think a testament to Resident Evil and its map layout and how no sort of space is wasted. That
hmm
there's items there that unless you're looking for it, which is the key thing in Resident Evil, is to constantly examine everything. You will miss droves and droves of bullets or key items that way.
yeah. There's just so much to it as well. Watching back, I had some like not your gameplay in particular, but you guys gameplay, and it's like, why are you shitting there? Just run. Just run past
Yeah.
that. You don't. The only thing you have to shit in that challenge is the dogs, really. But no, Resident Evil One. Obviously, I won that challenge, but that's not the reason I picked it. I think my next two challenges, I don't think I won. But no, Resident Evil, just because it took a what 22-year-old game that I've played. I don't know how many times I've played Resident Evil, but I must be in the hundreds of hours now in Resident Evil One, and it made it feel like a brand new game again. It's just a really good challenge with a lot of moving parts. There was a lot of QA done on that because when we came up with the idea, I think I said to you, I don't know if this is going to work, and then I had to QA it, and I was like,
Yeah.
no, this will work fine, but we need to make some changes, and the changes we made then is what you saw in the episode. But yeah, Resident Evil is one of my favorite all time challenges we've done on this, and it is one I don't often get feedback on this podcast from people, but it's one of the episodes that we got quite a bit of good positive feedback on just how different the
Yes.
challenge was.
No, absolutely. I remember going on to a guesting on play along for one of their Get Wrecked episodes, and one of the highlights that they said was, a Resident Evil scavenger hunt. Like, what the hell?
I know.
Like, how do you? It's taken like this challenge format that we have for the podcast works really well for quite a lot of games, and it's actually how you make it work for the games where you typically wouldn't put
Hmm.
a challenge in.
Hmm.
I think that's what makes the Resident Evil as a challenge really, really special. I think.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Resident Evil up there for me. I don't know where it would place, but it is definitely top three for me. What about you? What's your first game?
My first one is I'm gonna throw this all the way back to early doors in season one. This is an episode that we don't talk about nearly as much as we should.
It's Surgeon
It's
Sim,
it's
isn't it?
it's Surgeon Sim, isn't it? Yeah, it's absolutely Surgeon Simulator. I think that because that was the very first one that we were like, we had all the challenges. I still remember, like, I still see the spreadsheet of like our season one challenges, season one schedule, and little notes and points and everything doing that. I thought like the fact that we were like, let's do double points, and then we were like, oh my god, that's such a great idea. Let's just like double points sounds so crazy. Or
Yeah.
I like thinking back, I'm going like, wowie. Um, Great game. Such a like the only thing that lets that episode down, like the challenge, I think is really really good because it's so simple,
Yep.
and it's the metric is so like it's ingrained in the game that we just made that work. I think it doesn't stay in the memory is because the episode actually was so bad in terms of like not even so bad in terms of content, but just so bad in terms of like the
Execution of
audio
it.
quality. Whatever
Hmm.
whatever had happened on the day, that can't be helped. It's part of the game, really, isn't
Hmm.
it? But I loved it. I think everyone has. This is where I think this is where I realized that Sherry was very much I'm here to have a bit of fun,
Yeah.
and was the slowest and the bloodiest.
It just the one part of that episode. I haven't listened to that episode since it went out. But the one thing that always sticks out in my head about that episode was, I think if you had done another run, Sherry, you would have got a good time. And you're just like, I thought 7 minutes was good.
That's right. It's one I've said on chat several times. We need to do it either as a side quest or revisit it in a later date or as like a bonus episode, just like a Surgeon Sim Redux, and just see because I can guarantee we've all deleted it, haven't touched it
Oh yeah,
since. So to go back and as little practice, I think might just be the little influx of carnage that we know and love.
yeah, yeah. I actually deleted it before the challenge window closed because I
You
was
were
so
so
confident.
confident. That's right.
But yeah, Surgeon Sim was a great, great, great
Oh,
challenge. So it was just so simple, and the game was so difficult, but not difficult in the traditional sense. It's so I don't even know how to describe it. It's just the game is set up to make it as hard as possible on the player without really ever getting frustrated. But it's ridiculous. I think I described it as guap, but with scalpels, and I still stand by that. It's guap.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I loved it. I think like the doing it was so good. Yes, but I think it's one to revisit at some point or another. Potentially do it a little bit more justice
And what we
than we
did,
give it.
yeah, the execution was poor in that episode. The postage stamp game window because I didn't realize you could expand. No, this here business. It was early days. I was young. I didn't know nothing about this
That's it.
podcast and lark, so I didn't. Um, my second game challenge I want to talk about is um I think it was the penultimate episode of season one. I think it was episode 9 in season one, and it was our epic 20 lap race on grip.
Oh yes,
And grip was,
yes.
yes, that challenge was so, so, so much fun. It was just, I'm struggling to think of a time of watching a challenge that was as tense as what grip was. And I distinctly remember playing that challenge. And it's 20 laps. I think we raced for about 12 minutes, I think, overall. I think it lasted about
Something like that.
12 or
Yeah, yeah.
13 minutes. It wasn't very long. But I remember when we had wrapped up the recording of that, I remember having a sore back because I was sitting so rigidly upright, desperate to not make a mistake. Like, I just remember that
Yeah, that's. I
challenge.
had the death grip on the controller.
Yeah, and it was just so funny. Just I remember we were all in voice chat in the PlayStation, and just after maybe 14 laps, absolute silence. Like grip. I think that episode's really good. I think that challenge translated brilliantly well to what we wanted it to be. Um, but yeah, no, grip is just so much fun, and it is a game like I mean, we spent last week talking about PlayStation One games that don't get talked about enough. Grip is ironically a spiritual successor to another PlayStation One game it doesn't get spoke about enough, which is Roll Cage. And it
That's
Grip
right. Yes,
itself doesn't get talked about enough. Grip is actually a great futuristic racer, and it allows competition within races. It is just fantastic. The challenge was fantastic. It was really, really, really tight throughout. There was a lot of movement up and down the grid, apart from Sherry, who was
that's it.
stuck with
Sherry
the
getting bullied
AI.
by the NPCs. Yeah,
Um, but like the one thing that sticks out in my head is I'm in first. I think it's 2 or 3 laps to go. I had led for about maybe 10 laps before this. You fire your laser, Cardinal fires a laser. Both of them hit me and throw me back to third, and then
this
effectively
did.
cost me season one.
Yeah, that definitely. It needed the action replay as well. I think we had a wee look at that on the episode record as well, but it
Hmm.
was just you were like, "Who shot me?" And I think me and Cardinal were just like, "Maybe me. I don't
I
know."
don't
And
know.
like, that was yeah, it was such a good episode though. That was such a great challenge. It's locked on PlayStation Plus now.
What?
You can't actually like access it. I tried to play it, download it the other day, and it has the PlayStation Plus logo on it with the little
And then
padlock on it.
so you must have got it from Plus, did you? When it was in the library, it's
I think
removed
so.
now, so
Yeah.
you have a license, but you can't use it. The PlayStation also does that if you put in a if you your PlayStation 4 games that you own, if you haven't got a disc for it, then it'll appear in your game library with the little padlock until you put your disc in, and then it updates your license to allow you to play it in the PlayStation 5. What you have to, it's
Oh,
probably
okay.
come off the Plus library, and that's all that is. It's always on sale. I think I saw it there a couple of weeks back for £3.75 or something. Brilliant game. I think I said this in
Don't
the
tempt me. I
episode,
probably would get it.
but if you haven't played Grip and you like Wipeout or any futuristic racer like F Zero or whatever, just buy Grip. It is so much fun. It gets super difficult, but brilliant. I thought it fit the challenge really well. I thought the going for the 20 laps rather than doing like a short race. I like the marathon of it because it meant as the race went on, the stakes just got higher and higher and higher. And more than that, it set up our finale really, really well because it closed up the top. Because memory serves me, Cardinal won, you came second, I came third,
Yes.
and it compressed that top of the leaderboard
Put
for the
everything
finale.
within about six.
Yeah,
Yeah, everything was in like 6 or 8 points at that time. So I think by the time it came to it, yeah, everyone was super tight, super close on that. So uh, I think for the implication I had on season one, unreal challenge.
unreal.
Uh, as as it's yeah, as you say about concept to actual finished product,
Hmm.
I think it hit the nail on the head. Like it was absolutely superb. Like
Yeah, yeah. So that's my second game. My second game challenge is Grip. What's your second game?
I've
Come on.
been really, I've been really struggling about this because I've been looking on Spotify and I've been looking at every episode back and forth for the last like even 20 minutes or so
Hmm.
before record and as we've been recording. I'm avoiding Crash 1 and 2 and they're not on my lists. They're
Okay.
honorable mentions, but
Hmm.
the speedrun element of them was too taxing on me to think that they've actually done it for me. I really enjoyed Fortnite. I think actually it was another the concept ultra simple. The execution of getting us all into a lobby was massively frustrating and
Oh,
impossibly difficult. But
it was so
uh,
bad.
I think, I think that actually lent to the challenge that little bit better because put us all in a lobby together, and I think the first thing that yourself does, particularly or possibly me, is you go hunting, and that puts the target on your back. Whereas everyone was able to be in their own lobby, play their own game
Hmm.
without the thought of, are one of the other guys going to come and get me?
Or my worry was or two or three of the other guys going to come find me. Like, because I know Sherry was like, I'm going to stop you from winning this league, boy. That's all the messages I got all week prior to that was, I'm going to stop you from winning this thing. And I was like, these
That's
boys are going
amazing.
to absolutely cheat me here. but no,
Now it was a laugh, yeah.
I actually think the fact we had to do four individual lobbies worked out really well for the challenge because it means that if we all won, then what do you do? But there could have been there was so many variables introduced by that. Obviously, we envisioned that for all four of us to be in the same lobby, obviously, and then there was no possible way we could all win, etc. like that. But once we realized we can't do it because obviously Epic are terrified of friend groups farming each other for XP effectively and cheating the system.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so we were never going to be placed in the same lobby. But the fact that we had to go into four individual lobbies put so many new variables in. Was one of us going to get like a lobby for beginners? Was one of us going to get like a lobby of streamers or whatever it might have been? Or is someone going to get put into this super aggressive lobby system? All here sort of business. There was just so many new variables introduced by that, and I thought it was great. The fact we were playing these games at exactly the same time because we logged in, we made a group for chatting to each other, and not one of us had any idea how the other one was doing. It was
That's it.
genius. Gee, it worked out
It's
really
one of
well.
the few challenges. It's one of the few challenges, well, that what we usually do is everyone kind of just goes off and does their own X amount of runs
Hmm.
or X amount of attempts. This is the first challenge to memory that we all basically just went, right, I'm finished, right, I'm finished, right, I'm finished. And then everyone, I think then you said, are you gonna stick or twist?
Yeah.
And then I think everyone kind of just went,
Uh-oh.
I think everyone but myself went, oh, I think I'm gonna stick. But I think I went for one more.
Okay.
But I had previous run as a backup and my safety at least anyway, because I don't think if we were to do that challenge again, I don't think anyone's replicating
No,
what we did,
no,
really. And
absolutely
that I
not.
think was what was so good about that. And I actually watched that episode back for stuff for the socials, at least anyway. There's an awful lot of just sitting and waiting around with you boys,
Oh,
like
there was like, I mean, I didn't engage anybody. I think the one person I engaged killed me at the end, so that's why I don't engage. It was just like, yeah, that's all my
that's it.
60 or 80 odd hours on H1Z1. Train me to
Oh,
just
that's it. Yes,
stay
I
just in
think it
front.
like I think that's what tipped it just slightly over the edge for me because I think I just was like, I've nothing to lose and everything to gain, really. So
Hmm.
let's just go all out on it. And I think that's what I think going back, Cardinal and the recorder was just like, what's Tom? What's Tom doing?
I
Why
know.
is he still shooting
I
people?
know. I know. I thought we were
I
finished.
think I ended up with like 15% of that lobby killed by me.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
says a lot. Like
It does. It says a lot about your playing style.
I
Didn't do
loved it.
much
I
for
think
your
it was
result.
absolute. It was oh sure, but I had fun doing it. That's what I think I said that in the episode. It's like I actually didn't even care about not winning. I had so much fun with that Fortnite record.
Yeah. Yeah. I really enjoyed that challenge, but I don't know if what I did could be described as fun. But I enjoyed it when I was doing it because I was like, I'm doing really well here. Good luck beating
Yeah,
me, boys. So that means then we're down to our last choice each. We'll do this one and then we'll do a couple of wee mentions for a couple of RB episodes because there is quite a few episodes. I have a sneaking suspicion that this choice I have is going to be the same as you. So
let's
the
hear it.
the game challenge that I really enjoyed was our permadeath run on The Last of Us remastered.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is quite a nice one. We actually just have a shared opinion on this
Hmm.
because this also was my third pick.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
very very close. It nearly didn't make it, but this was I think one of the games I think for me is why high scores high stakes exists. I think
Hmm.
obviously Crash was that very first one that was always going to be our sort of intro for it, but I think at one point in our sort of R&D essentially was like has to put The Last of Us in. It's such a relevant game. It's such a game to have a challenge on.
Yep. Yeah.
Loved it.
The
Yeah.
only issue we had with it was it's such a story heavy driven game. How do you how do we do this? How do we make this a challenge game? And I think it was you, possibly. I think you said one day, I think it has a permadeath mode, but it didn't. And we were like, why just don't? Why didn't we just make that the rule then, where if you die, you have to restart? And in that episode, we were putting a lot of trust in one another to not
Yeah.
just die and then restart and then just cut it. But no, what I liked about it was it much the same as Resident Evil. It wasn't as revelatory for The Last of Us as what it was for Resident Evil. But no, what I liked about it the most was it forced me to play The Last of Us in a way that I never have before. I think I said in that episode I watched a lot of speed runs and just sort of tried to incorporate as many
Yes,
speed
yes.
run techniques as I could. And I was watching it back, just a little bits of it today, actually, in preparation for this. Was the shipyard, the docks, where I actually
Hmm.
employ speed tech and absolutely breeze through that section in a couple of seconds. I think it's like 20 or 30 seconds. I get through that entire section by throwing two bricks and just streaming through it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that's it.
but yeah, no, it just forced me to play that game in a completely different way, a way that I would have never played it since, nor played like that before. It was just I love when our challenges forces us to sort of change how these games are
Just to
played.
adapt. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because I'm terrible at the stealth options in like any sort of Naughty Dog, like any kind of option in Uncharted, Last of Us Part Two as well. It's like, oh, I did one stealth kill, and then I'm instantly spotted, so now it's guns blazing.
Yeah.
That's usually my approach to these games, but I think because we're playing it on the grounded difficulty
Hmm.
at the time as well, and yeah, you're forced to kind of have to take the tool that we came to edit it as well. And the Cardinal basically chopped it down to just encounters, and each of
Yeah.
those beats rather than let's
Hmm.
just watch the whole game.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we said as well. It's like it's impossible to die in the prologue and everything up until the point where you leave the QZ essentially.
Hmm.
So there was an awful lot to be cut from that as well. But we, as you say, we took it all in good faith that everyone was going to play it properly.
Stick by the rules. Yeah.
Um, yeah, a cardinal who had never played The Last of Us before, I think give a very good go at it, but just I think his quote unquote was a little bit too spooky.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Sherry, it's Sherry's favorite game of all time, and I think he got to the point in the just before the docks, and
He,
he was just like, "I'm not doing this again because it will ruin the one thing I love the most."
yeah. If memory serves me correctly, he died due to a bug as well, didn't he? He
He
hit.
got caught in the fence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
That's what happens when you take a
terrible.
game and try to break it into pieces to suit what you need it to do. But no, The Last of Us I thought was just so good. It's such a good game. It's another one. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Such a good game, and it's a game. And it's another one of those where I'm sure when it popped up in people's Spotify feeds or Apple Podcasts or whatever, they're like, "What? Wait, what challenge are they doing?" They're probably playing factions mode against one another or something like that. But no, that would be the easy
Yeah, yeah,
option.
that's
That
it.
that could have been done in an afternoon. But what we did with The Last of Us took significantly longer than that. It was a good game. I think I played that game solid for about 2 weeks in
Because this
prep
was
for
one of the
that.
weird games where it wasn't just a case of, right, there's the end of the previous episode and here's our prep time for this one. I think we did all sort of take a couple of weeks. I think
Hmm.
we did Back for Blood and we did this sort of in tandem with
Yeah.
each other, nearly the gameplay at least anyway. So that's all I played for a good solid month, really,
Oh
was
well.
just like I knew The Last of Us was coming up and I was like, I need to get good essentially.
Hmm.
I don't think I think I did continue it on after that challenge, and I got as far as the Capitol building, and I struggled after that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got a bit further than the Capitol building. I got to Billstown. I think I said this in the episode. Couldn't get past the part where you're upside down. That's where I got to. Couldn't get past it at all.
yeah,
And just
like
like, I'm not having any fun here. It's it's just all they've done is just pump up the damage done by the infected, and you get wiped out so fast. It isn't that fun. But no, the challenge was because I had no idea how far. I thought Sherry would have got further than what he did. I think Sherry expected himself to go further than what he did. And then it came down to the wire between me and you. I think it was
Hmm.
literally a screen or two between me and you in the end of
Exactly.
that one.
Yeah, I think I just before you leave the city, and then you were just as you meet the clickers as well. So it was so close, really. I think I got caught by a guard that I didn't expect, and then I panicked and threw a bottle at everything and
Yeah, yeah,
tried to run away.
yeah. But yeah, no, The Last of Us was such a great. I think it was in the mid-season episode of season two, episode 5, I believe, or
Season one,
6,
episode five.
maybe.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, The Last of Us. What a great challenge! What a great game! What a great game! Do you have any honorables you want to talk about? I've got one or two that we can talk about very
I get the
quickly.
yeah, Crash 1 and 2, I think, get honorable mentions. They didn't quite make the list purely because as landmark episodes as they were, we got
Hmm.
episode 1 and episode 50, obviously. They didn't make the cut because the mental endurance that they took to actually get the challenges done, which kind of took away from the enjoyment of it. But I remember us QAing the Snow Go episode, and oh, Jesus, if I don't see that level again,
I know, I know.
be a much happier man. But
I,
um, yeah, they were great. Like in theory, they're great challenges because you have to adopt like so many newer styles from what we did in episode 1. And Cardinal's face when you went, "What do you mean? There's a slide mechanic?
I know, I know.
What do you mean Crash can slide?"
It's just I wanted to talk about these two as well, just because. Well, the first one, just because it was episode 1. But I think Crash Bandicoot 2. I think on our Twitter account, I put up a couple of videos that showed my slow descent into insanity over No Go. But no, the first one was good. I mean, it sat in our to do list for about a year,
Hmm.
and before I actually
Exactly.
made the podcast. But yeah, no, Crash Bandicoot was definitely one I want to talk about as well. Um, the other one I want to talk about was Street Fighter 5. Thought that challenge was really good too. Surprising as well.
That's it.
It
How you get that martial arts fighting games into these sort of situations because they scream um gaming podcast, they scream that kind of format for us, at least anyway. And we've done a few of them. Like I have Dragon Ball Fighter Z as an honorable mention as well.
mhm.
So it's quite nice how we've took that fighter game and have been able to sort of churn out a different format each time as well.
Each time, yeah, yeah. What I liked about it is Cardinal. You, the episode prior, I've never been more confident.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. I'll never
Card
live that one down. Like,
Cardinal beating you, getting into the final. Sherry and me having that great first fight, and then me and you had a good fight as well for the third place playoff. And then the final was quite good in spits and bursts. What I didn't like, the reason this didn't make my list is obviously that was the game, Mr. Capcom. And that was the game I think everyone expected me to win. And with that comes like this. I think we've talked about this before. I certainly have. Is just the sheer amount of pressure that comes with everyone expecting you to
that's it.
win.
Yeah, yeah. You know, Cardinal's the same as well. He said a lot of his games didn't make that list because he didn't want just yeah, you don't want to pick the games that you're just great at, but the games that you do come up against that you're like, I'm really proficient in this. The the pressure's there for you to do well in that and to you're expected to take home the points on that. That was sort of possibly where I stood on Fighter Z. Like I was the only one maybe who had a tiny bit of knowledge in that going into that one. And so at that point I'm expected to do well in it. And in that instance it paid off and the same goes for I would say the Cardinal will give Wipeout an honorable mention if he was here as well to say that. But that with a game that he adores as well, you'd expect him to do well in a racer
Hmm.
as well.
Yeah, yeah. It is a funny one because Champion's Choice I think is a great idea. I think Cardinal came up with that. I think we have to give him credit for coming up with Champion's Choice. But yeah, I remember how stressed I was playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater because I knew someone was going to push me really, really tight on that one. And the sheer amount of stress and pressure I put myself under that entire week where I played nothing but Tony
Yeah, yeah.
Hawk, and I played nothing but the warehouse level in Tony Hawk. And I just knew, but yeah, there is a certain the pressures of this is my game, I've picked this, or this is the game everyone expects me to win at. It does when we all log in to play that game, there is like a great deal of weight on your shoulders going, what if I lose the first match of this game? Then it's going to be
Exactly.
wild. And I did lose the first match in Street Fighter. Street Fighter's a great episode. I think it's our most viewed fighting game episode. And it is a
Okay.
really good format as well. That's one we had a tournament sort of set up for that. But yeah, I think that's all the games I really want to talk about. I'm sure we can revisit
I've
this
got
again in the future.
one
What is it?
more.
What is it? Go on, let's hear
I
it.
do. I literally had it there. I like the Fall Guys episode that we did
Okay, yeah, yeah,
because that one was just utterly silly, and that one is a free for all in terms of like there's no
yeah,
that one took no skill and no proficiency in that. You just got on with it really, and
yeah,
a few close calls. I thought there was a few close calls in it, and I like we touched on it in the sort of our first grudge chip cash in episode, and Sherry goes up and won the whole lobby like, but you can't go wrong. I think you couldn't really go wrong with with the Fall Guys episode. I think it was just a great bit of fun, and again,
yeah.
it was another one that was like a full lobby, like so. You're not gonna finish sort of first, second, third, fourth. You could finish like fifth, 12th,
Mm,
36th, and 40th for all we knew. Like so, just those wee elements of unknown was a great wee factor into
yeah,
those.
yeah. True, true. There was a couple of times in that game I thought I was out. This is me definitely out. And then by the end, I was kicking myself because I made a stupid mistake, which cost me the entire lobby. I was like, no. But yeah, that was a good one. I actually didn't even think about Fall Guys. Fall Guys was a good episode. Yeah, yeah. But I think is that you, or do you have anything else? Is that everything?
That's everything. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't say I have anything else to touch on really.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I think that means we need to go to the wrap up section. The reminiscing is over, Tomahawk. Let's go to the wrap up. Let's get
Let's
there
do
now.
it.
That is it, Tomahawk. Another painless, on point recording. It just seems shockingly succinct this past couple of weeks. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's because Cardinal's not here. Is Cardinal the problem? um,
Don't say that because I'm pretty sure he's edited this week.
Only kidding, Cardinal. Woo. But yeah, we're in the wrap up section, so that means it is another episode all wrapped up, which means we have to go over the boring old housekeeping again. I'll make it really short and sweet for you. If you haven't reviewed the podcast, please do that. Give it a star rating or a written review, or preferably both. If you want to find us anywhere else on the internet, highscoreshighstakes.com is the place to go to do that. Just click the links on top of the page, read some articles, and reminisce in the episodes that we have up there so far. And of course, if you haven't already, share the podcast with your family or friend circle. If you know someone who would like it, please don't keep it a secret from them. Tell them. Say, here, High Scores, High Stakes is the podcast for you, mate. Listen to it. These guys are good crack. And with all that being said, Tomahawk, I think the only thing left to say is I've been Mr. Luvva Luvva. This has been High Scores, High Stakes. Thanks for listening. We'll see you Monday. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.